Okay, so welcome to the June 4th meeting of the Conservation Advisory Council, and call the meeting to order. The first thing on the agenda is the review of the minutes of April 2nd. I made one small correction, which is minor, to the wetlands application for English and Virtue provide vegetation plan. The numbering of the 129-4, it's a little change to that, but otherwise I think they're correct. Everybody had a chance just to review them, accept them. Should we vote on accepting the meetings?
I vote to accept the minutes.
Everybody accept? Okay,
Yes.
Great, thank you. Okay. Now, Roxanne, I know you still have an article. I don't know where we're going to go with that one, but hang on to it. Yeah, I think.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Pesticides, we know we have a group that's working on that. And it's coming along. It's going to be, I think, enacted pretty soon that they're going to control the use of pesticides by putting the phone numbers on the truck to who to call. If you don't see anything, then their license posted, so if you have a question, you can get. Right, the next thing we have is the wetlands application. First one we're going to deal with is Riche, 4F Platonic Avenue. I'll just read mine and then first, and if anybody has any additions or subtractions through it. I think it's a good project for conservation of the environment because they're taking out an old septic system and putting in a pressurized new IA system, which will cut down the nitrates going into that area, which is surrounded by water. And they don't have any place else to go with it. It's a waterlocked, let's say, piece of land. So they're doing the best they can to help the environment. And I think my feeling is we should accept it. I don't know why there's been a 3-year delay on this installation, except that the county seems to be holding all of our septic systems up, and it's hurting our environment out here. It's terrible. I don't know.
Well, it's the COVID thing is what stopped everything for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it takes a while to get momentum again, you know?
I mean, they advertise that we're doing something to the environment, and they just don't have any.
It's all actually falling into place now. It's gotten a lot better.
So,
Yeah,
how many we have on the island? 200 or something?
yeah, a couple
We
hundred.
still had 800 more to go. Just for Shelter Island, right?
Right, yeah.
And all of,
Well, it's, yeah, a couple thousand more,
yeah,
you know?
a couple of thousand.
Would there be, yeah.
Yeah,
It's not, I mean,
but it's, I mean, that's the government takes their time. I mean, they just do what they do.
yeah,
You can't push them any further.
yeah, they have so many people and they go through
I know, I
the,
guess they got a lot of funding now, so if that sales tax thing goes through, that'll help a lot.
yeah, but they have the money. It's just,
Yeah.
I mean, we have such problems with the nitrates going, everybody knows it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's sort of like New York City, they have the combined sewer system, what they originally put in, and what happens when we have a heavy rain and a population explosion. The water cannot be treated, so it bypass the treatment center, it doesn't make sense to me. It's time. Okay, so let's take a vote on, I suggest that my thing is to approve this. Absolutely. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
It's 5-0 approval. Great. Hear that.
Like, this is another process that has to go through in order to get approved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It has to go back to the county and,
For it. Okay, now the interesting one, guests are here from the Puddle Road. association, I guess. Neighborhood association. And we welcome them with any comments they have. Appreciate you coming. Put this away first. And do this.
Is Matt gonna go through this thing with us?
Is Matt on? Is Matt on?
No,
So,
No, he's not on, so he's not gonna go through it.
okay,
So we'll explain it a little. It's no problem. It's sort of a complicated project, which is a beautiful piece of land on Tuttle Drive. We've had other properties there that we've treated. But what the problem is that this property, and most of the people here are for it, it's not part of our committee to merge. Anyway, it's hasn't been merged 18 and 20 properties officially, from what I can see over the time. So I don't know why we got this beforehand or why, but we did get this as a wetlands application, so we treat it as a wetlands. The merger, we have nothing to do with, that's the planning board and other people. But any questions, Bob?
Yeah, if you would allow me.
Sure, certainly.
There's enough mic up there.
Somewhere.
I'm here as a representative of the Tut Hill Drive Neighbors League, which owns Tut Hill Drive. And we did receive, we are adjacent to the property, so we did receive a wetlands application. And also another, Mr. Rhinebeck's sister, Angela Rhinebeck, who's basically, I think, her parents and.
Well, we're owners.
Yeah, your owners, okay. They actually founded the Tut Hill Drive Association back in
Welcome.
the 90s or something like that, way back when, and our predecessors, and we owe them a lot. They're also adjacent to the property at issue here. The letter that I sent to the town board solely addressed the lot merger issue. It didn't address the wetlands issues at all, because that's within your jurisdiction and obviously the planning board's jurisdiction. But there were two things I wanted to point out. One is simply something minor one, is that time and time again, I've seen this business about being 100 feet or 75 feet. I never quite understood. Back years ago, I thought it was 100, but now it became 75. I'm not sure how that all kind of works, but you're the experts on this, and I'm not.
well, actually, 75 is the actual number with the DEC. It's 100 is,
Yeah.
between 75 and 100 is with a permit from
With
the
a
town. From the town.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so they need to.
And that's 25 years old, and I think it should be updated. I don't know when the DEC does update things like that.
But the town obviously has got the 100-foot, that.
Right,
Yes.
between 75 and 100, yeah.
So that was an interesting thing that I believe it's happened before on Tut Hill Drive, and it was something that never was quite
Yes.
explained. But whether it's 100 or it's 75, and I think what you're telling me now, it is 100, unless there's a permit for less,
Exactly.
is that it's 100 or 75 from something.
Right.
Right. And it's the something that's been controversial, because we know that with the global warming and with the sea has been rising, we know it from both the ferries that the sea has been rising. So clearly the line has been moving landward. That is, the mean high tide line, or whatever you want to call the tidal wetlands area, has been moving landward. Right? So what might have been done 4 years ago or 10 years ago doesn't apply today. And I know the rules say that the town board, or maybe the planning board, I don't know how they changed this, I haven't read the whole new version of the statute, is that they get, I'm losing my train of thought, but it's this 100 line, they get to choose within 5 years whatever line was used to start the 75 feet or the 100 feet, okay, whatever. I have seen in the past landowners hiring guys to come up with the wetlands line, the tidal wetlands line, moving it toward the sea over a period of 15, 20 years. I've seen this in the past. I'm not going to go into specific details. Well, the one that was chosen for this property, I've been out there and taking photographs of it. There is a retaining wall that's going to be maintained, and I've watched water splash into the retaining wall, and you can see seagrass all the way up to the retaining wall, okay? So it seems to me that the mean high tide line or the tidal wetlands line is at the retaining wall,
Right.
not something
We're
toward
both-
the ocean.
Yeah, we're
So if
both-
you measure the 75 feet from the proper line, or the 100 feet from the proper line, you're gonna get the proper line where it needs to be. Now, under the town code, it's section 129-4, permit procedure, which is a planning board thing. You guys are advisory council, I know. There is under 129-4A5, it says that the planning board, it says that such application, I'm talking about the wetlands application, shall include the following. And section 5 says additional hydraulic computations, typographical or engineering studies, ecological site plan, or other factual or scientific data as deemed necessary by the planning board. I'm just reading it, you know. So the planning board can tell the owner, we want more information.
Exactly, or the town board.
It's in the town, or no, it's the planning board now, because they're the ones doing the wetlands application. So they can say, and they can ask the property owner to do it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay? So what I think should be done is not taking the word for the 2021 mean high tide line where the 75 feet or the 100 feet begins, is to tell them that they have to have an independent study of what the tide line is, and it could very well be, I think, the retaining wall as to where the 75 or the 100 feet start. So I would suggest, and I would ask, that this board recommend to the planning board that they require the landowner to go get an ecological study of the mean high tide line as it is today, okay, because we know it's risen in the past few years, and at their expense, but to use an independent study, someone that the planning board trusts, you know, whoever that might be, you know, as opposed to someone that would be chosen by, you know, the whatever. So that would be the first thing that we would suggest.
Well, what we are doing is we're reviewing the wetlands code. But as the wetlands code right now stands, which is under 129.4A.1, the delineated wetlands boundary flagged by a environmental person within 5 years of the submission of the application. It has nothing to do with the mean high water.
Oh,
This is from the wetlands, and that's what the code is.
fair
And we
enough.
had one other property that, because they didn't have any wetlands, they took it from the mean high water, but that's not in our town code.
Fair enough, fair enough. I don't know whether it's the mean high tide line or whether it's the tidal wetlands line, but I've seen seagrass at this property go all the way up to the retaining wall.
It shows it on, right on the survey, where it's hitting the concrete in parts of it.
Yeah, but it's
You know.
below, it's toward the sea. The line seems to be at the sea.
Right, well, some of it's out of it, some of it's right, you know, like
Exactly.
half of it's right up to the bulk.
What I'm suggesting is that
Right.
there's, in that space between the retaining wall and their line,
Mhm.
there's seagrass. And that's tidal wetlands,
That's wetland,
Right.
no question.
no question about it,
Pictures of it,
and that's one of the things.
so I don't think that that line is correct,
Exactly.
okay?
I agree
And
with
I
you.
would say, I would ask respectfully that this committee recommend to the planning board that it goes and asks under the other town code section that I mentioned earlier, under that authority, ask them to go do it again, and also to use someone that the planning board chooses to use. Or if the planning board wants to go through the expense to do it itself, to make sure it has an independent study or an independent report as to where that is, not something from 4 years ago that was done by the real estate developer or whoever was, you know, doing it, whatever purposes, whatever. That's number one. Okay, thank you. Number two, I'll keep it short, it has to do with, you know, I mentioned that the lots haven't been merged properly or are not officially merged. As I mentioned in the letter in great detail, the statutory merger provision was repealed in 2017 or 2018 officially. The town board didn't replace it with anything, and therefore the jurisdiction doesn't go to the planning board or the zoning board, it's still with the town board. They haven't decided any procedures or anything, and they have to figure out how to be doing this. Simply getting the tax authority in Suffolk County to change the tax number is for their purposes and for the purposes and the facility of the property owner, but not for zoning purposes, and it's on their website. You have the website of the Suffolk County Tax Division that deals with this says you got to go back, don't use this for zoning purposes. And the other third thing I might want to mention as well is the context of this. You saw it's a 6,000 square, it's actually 5,988 square foot house or whatever it is.
Right.
With a 6,000 square foot deck that is probably certainly within the 100 feet, okay? And a 1,000 square foot pool on the lot that goes for both lots, if it's merged, okay? Which is still about an acre. And under the town proposal now, the town is considering for house sizes and proportionality, would be something, even if you assume the lots could be merged, you're talking less than 4,500 square feet, not 6,000. That's a third less. A 6,000 square foot house on a less than 1 acre or 1 acre property, or it should be 0.8 acres if they don't merge it. It should be like 4,000 square foot. If it's 6,000, it's huge compared to everything. And this is on the water, okay? Right on the near shore overlay, adjacent to the water, putting things into we're talking going from 3 bedrooms to 5 bedrooms. I don't know how many bathrooms are in there.
Well, the actual report says 5. I guess they have 2 in the garage or something.
I've been in that house when it was being sold, and the bedrooms are the size of the bathroom over here. I'm joking, of course.
No, that's true.
Okay.
That's-
The other thing that is to be considered, I don't know whether it has anything to do with the wetlands, it certainly doesn't have to do with wetlands, but the neighboring house that the Rhinebecks have was done way back in 1930s, as well as the current house was done in the 30s as well. Their house is like not 20 feet from, or 25, it's not 25 feet from their property line. It's more like 10 feet from the property line. So the bedroom of that house is going to be where the grill goes and the outdoor kitchen is. And if you know the wind comes from the south, it's going to be blowing into there. That's a building department situation, not a wetlands issue, but this is what's going on. And we have to really stop these huge houses, et cetera. Now, for your purposes, that's not, maybe it is you.
It is, it's part of conservation properties.
I mention it because it's, the part of your report is going to go to the planning board as a wetlands issue, but I think you might let them know that there are other issues that are involved that need to be considered. And thank you for your attention. If you have any questions for me, and I think maybe Mr. Rhinebeck,
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
Okay.
and you can tell them how long your family's owned.
Thank you.
Good evening, thank you very much. I'm Eugene Van Reinbach. We're living at 16 Town Hill.
Oh, 16, maybe. 16,
We've been there since 1957, so that's what, 67 years, something like that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good one.
And the house next door, that was actually built in the 20s. That was the first house built on Ram Island. And one family owned it for like 80 years, the Robertson family. Yeah, so I can confirm what our code said the grass does. The high tide goes up to the bulkhead, submerges about 1.5 to 2 feet at the bulkhead. So the whole entire bulkhead has water at high tide.
That's us, all the way across.
All the way across. Maybe one corner over by the Van Sant house is maybe like a foot of sand, but it goes to their dock, actually. The tide has risen about 3-4 inches since I was a boy. So now their dock is submerged, or it's right at the platform of the dock. And the dock comes right out of the bulkhead, so you can imagine.
And the staircase coming off of 20 is underwater.
Yeah,
On high tide. I know, I was there, I looked, I said, what the heck is it?
yeah. And there's also, as I think we mentioned before, there's a lot of beautiful trees there, so a lot of those are gonna go. But the issue we're concerned, you mentioned about the grill and all that, but also the hard surface. There's gonna be thousands of feet of hard surface, and, there's gonna be a lot of runoff.
Right.
So,
And it's
we're
quite
concerned.
high to
Yes,
slope.
but that's all gonna go right into the ocean.
Right.
And I have, especially during construction also, because we had the same problem, the house across the street, they got a deluge rainstorm, and all the runoff went into the harbor, and going out maybe 100 yards from our beach, all the water was brown. So it was uncontained runoff And so I think the same thing is a concern here, there'd be a lot of runoff. I don't know how well, they have to be very careful during the construction to prevent runoff into the harbor.
And any project that size on
Yeah.
Shelter Island would take 2 years, so
3 years.
at least. Because, and it's very expensive, but.
House down the
Well,
road.
we require all of those things to be put in there, and I looked at these we look at a lot of the properties, and this is not unique to this road, Tuttle Drive. It's a beautiful area there, we have a lot of beautiful.
Most of Tuttle Drive is non-conforming anyway, there's not.
Right, that's-
100 feet from the water to the
Yeah,
street.
it was built all in the, it
the
started
early
in the
days.
30s and then
Yeah.
through the 50s.
It's a great area, but now we gotta start upgrading, like they're at
Right.
least putting, suggesting an IA system, I don't know
Yeah,
if you've done it.
Yeah.
That's fine, but the rest of it isn't, right? Yeah.
No one's living there now, so there's no nitrogen getting into it. So it's gonna go up no matter what happens.
Of course it is.
What happens, right, it's,
Absolutely.
That's it.
yeah.
One additional thing I want to mention.
Please do.
There's gonna be a 1,000-foot pool going in there, and I don't know this business about pools, okay, especially on the water. I know on Tut Hill Drive, when you add a pool, and there's one that was added within the past year. There's two that have been there for a long time. But when you add a pool, you add one of those massive trucks that come out to ramble it up.
Right.
So we have this gravel area in front of my house on Tut Hill Drive, which we have to spend money because it's a private drive, and that's what we exist for. To replace that gravel, and these huge trucks that come by have an effect on the entire street. And they're gonna block the street twice a year, and if they pull water out of the ground, I don't know whether you're supposed to do that, but
That's not allowed by the town.
Well, there's a lot of cisterns along Tuttle Drive,
a lot of what?
a lot of cisterns.
Cisterns.
A lot of people are getting water there.
Yeah,
You know, the guy in Jackson's old place and a lot of those houses.
yeah. I assume this would be required as well for this pool. But this is like a 6,000 square foot deck with a 1,000 square foot pool, with a 6,000 square foot house. It covers the whole thing. There's gonna be a gravel front for the driveway. They're gonna have parking spaces and all this on this less than, basically an acre if you put them together.
Right.
It's massively different from everything else. You know, it's a lot. So aesthetically, I don't care whether they want to build a nice modern house, that's okay. If as long as it's within proportionality for the property, that's fine.
Mhm.
It's not about the look of the place, it's about the size of the place.
Exactly.
What it's gonna be, all the runoff and all the other stuff going on. I'm sure the 5 bedrooms are gonna be a different situation than what's there now.
The plans there,
Yeah.
they're quite
Right,
exciting.
if they build a 4,500 square foot house, or whatever the proportionality is
Right.
proper, they're gonna have an IA system in there anyway, so that's not really the issue. There's gonna be an IA, right now, it's gonna be empty, or they're gonna build something that has an IA system.
Right.
So that's not an issue.
That's in their
Yeah,
plan.
I don't think that's an incentive, to allow.
No, that's not mitigation,
Okay.
you know.
Right. Right.
Thank you. So what I've done is basically, a lot of these points have been covered, on what we did here now. I'll read what mine are, and then this is done a week.
These brick patios?
No, I don't know. It's,
It says over, yeah,
Yes, brick patio.
they're all brick, yeah.
my thing is, first of all, that the wetlands have to be determined by accredited environmentalists and set, and which that would be, and I was there certainly is wetlands up to the bulkhead. And so that'd be from the bulkhead, and then nothing is from the mean high water line, because that mean high water line doesn't mean anything. I don't know how they get that, because all the high tide data is predicted. It's not what's actually happening. So, when I was down there, I could see that the water has come over the bulkhead there. You could see the grass is dead in the front. I mean, it's just soil. So that's the first thing, is they have to submit a certified delineated wetland according to 129-4-A point parentheses 1. That's what the code item is. The second item is submit a vegetation plan. That's required by code 129-4A point parentheses 4. And that's to show what it is now and what they intend to do. And we asked for that because of these trees. I mean, these are beautiful 40-foot high trees. They've been there a long time. Naturally, if they're diseased or something, they can take them down, but we're sort of like against removing trees. The trees are holding the soil together. They hope to keep our property stable in that area. So.
My mother was one of the founders of Friends of Trees.
Oh, really?
Howard, you know, a lot of this patio's in the 75-foot line.
Oh, yeah.
Patio. I mean, that's really not even, none of it's even really,
Well,
what it
plus
should be
we have,
to start with.
I mean, I don't think we even have enough information to say
Yeah,
anything
well,
about this yet.
I mean, really, to me, I think they should just measure from the bulkhead. The building envelope should be 100 feet back from the bulkhead, and then they should design a house that actually fits the area. And if they can't keep the pool in the house, then,
Make it smaller.
yeah, make everything smaller and fit and forget it. I don't think you can even have hard brick patios and,
That's what I was wondering about. Yeah, they're not permeable, yeah.
yeah, so I think the whole thing is kind of not
Well,
ready to start with. So,
and they, you know,
almost like they'll lob something out there and see what would happen. I don't know.
Maybe,
I can't say
maybe.
that, we're going by the ethics board, you know. Yeah, one of the things is that, yes, I mean, it's starting to become like, I was born and raised in Queens and, you know, a 50 by 100 lot and you didn't have any view. And we have setbacks required now that they have to conform to, which is 25 foot, but every building is going right to the setback.
Well, the only thing you're allowed in the 75-foot is 100 feet. So you can't have.
Oh, right.
You can't have
You're
the
talking
patio.
about
I mean,
that.
The whole thing is not even right to start with.
Right.
So,
And that's one of the things we have here. And then you have 133, 12F3, I think, what is it? The wetland as part of the zoning board that says no construction within 100 feet on the near shore overlay peninsula. So that's another item that they have to contend with. So we have a lot of things that we're looking at here. Plus, the plans are not full scale. So you can't measure or check anything on a plan. It's all been reduced to a comfortable 8.5 by 11 size, which is completely erroneous. So that has to be brought up. And
yeah, I just think they should redesign it, just fit the zone.
yeah,
That's
well, basically by the code, they can't do what they're doing here.
No, they can't.
129 or 133. 133 12F point parentheses 3 states nothing in the nearshore overlay peninsula. So anyway, we had that. And then I sort of, I read a lot because it's my engineering background comes up a lot. But I go through the wetlands permit application. And item B5, what are the predominant soil types on the property? And sand is marked. Well, you couldn't have those trees in a sand.
No, it's loam and then it gets.
Exactly, they should have put loam and clay.
There's a test hole here.
The test shows loam and clay,
Right.
but they didn't fill out the application to show what the test hole shows. So that's another item. They should show what the soil conditions are, what
Yeah. It's about 4 feet of topsoil.
of loam. Right. What is that called, Pat? Is that Montauk loam they call it here?
Yeah, it's just sandy loam.
So that's another item that we're not accepting, that we're noting on this permit. Let's see if I have anything else on this. Oh, is
Fit every square inch of something.
also on that permit D, let's see, it says D. it says, explain why this, D2, explain why this project is not or cannot be located outside the vegetated buffer.
It's too big.
Well, basically,
Correct.
it says house is at a front yard setback and only 30 foot wide. Pool and patio going in a similar location as existing dwelling to be removed. But that has nothing to do with the justification of the permit. It just, it's,
So they have 228 feet from the road to the water. Is that right?
I don't know if they mentioned it. Different areas, yeah. The water, actually in 20, it's closer to the water from the road. 18. That's the problem. I can't scale it. I have the engineering scale, but the drawings aren't to scale.
Yeah.
Right.
Useless.
Determine that.
30 minutes to.
Yeah, 230 here, this one's less, this is 176 on the short side.
Yeah.
So, and 40 foot's the setback, so they have 30 feet if they want 100 to really do stuff in,
Yeah.
on that
Well, there
corner.
is room.
Yeah, there is room, on that
To
corner,
build a house.
on that
It's
corner, yeah,
build a house.
yeah.
And the
You're
other
not
thing,
denying the house. You're
Right.
not- No,
It's just
you never can.
It's smaller,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Even if it's underwater all the time, the county will not lose that tax. So they're not going to deny the building of it, unfortunately. It's a money item. So I, those,
Also, the structural integrity of that bulkhead, is that completely, there's no cracks or anything in that now?
it's a stone bulkhead, it's
I
an,
mean, there's probably compromised if it's old
oh, yeah.
stone, so.
Plus, there's no vegetative
Yeah.
5-foot strip in the front.
Grass
that
right
has to be put in, and that's why we're asking for a vegetation plan. We want to see that, what they intend to do with those existing trees, if they're taking them down, they have to take them down, some of them anyway. But I don't see the reason for it, they could build, So that, I have 5 items, and we have a lot of other that we've mentioned, so I vote that we take a vote on this, and I would say for denial. And resubmit all the plans, right?
Absolutely,
Take a
Yes.
vote on that,
right?
Yep.
5-0.
5-0 deny.
Denial. So that's our, on that, so. Thank you for people for coming and explaining to us your own personal problems.
But no, thank you for just the brilliant articulation of what are really not only the problems that you brought up with this particular submission, but everything that we're experiencing on the island that we need to develop some more clear procedures around. So yeah, it's not just this, but it was beautifully stated and researched. So thank
I
you.
don't always get it right, but.
Well, I thought it was quite
I
good.
wasn't going to say that.
Yes, so thank you.
But thank you for coming, I
Right.
appreciate it.
Just a question, I don't know if it's a Dan question or everyone, but the piping plover part here, and not just, obviously, we're already denying this, but where we have a statement that there's piping plover on or near the site, and then it says, but none have been observed, lately or whatever. So, but I guess the question that I have here is, if there is wildlife, there is a question that is asking us specifically if any endangered species would be disrupted by this. So I guess the way this is worded that says, yes, piping plover, but then it finishes by saying, haven't seen any. I mean, is that sufficient?
Water's going up to the,
There might have been sand
over, I can
there.
nest there.
20 years ago, that could have been a beautiful sandy beach, and
And now there are no longer piping plover because of
there's no
this.
sand left.
Yes.
They
Yeah,
wouldn't
yeah.
be there.
Yeah, so I guess yeah.
like Peconic Avenue, there was 50 feet of beach there when I was a kid, and there's nothing, it's all right to the
The
bulkhead.
only
Yeah,
piping
yeah.
plover is over Shell Beach, right? I think.
Yeah.
It's common.
But if we step, I guess what I'm saying is if we continue to allow the erosion of habitat, we're not going to have any of these species anywhere. So, I mean, at some point, that's if that's a component of what we need to be looking at, I guess I just think that's also something we should be talking about, right? I mean, yeah,
I think
so we believe in it.
plan that puts pavers of
Correct.
70% of the property,
That's it.
not concerned about habitat,
No, they're not concerned at all.
except their own.
Right, but we should be, right? Isn't that right? I mean, I know they're not, based on what we've
That's-
seen.
Described in the project under B9, identify each species. And if you look at the house rendering, I would hate to live near that with the shades open at night, the light that's going to be coming out there, and the poor long-eared bat that they say is there, and
Right.
it is there, will crash into that,
Right.
That's the next item we're going to discuss is.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean,
Lighting code of shelter.
yeah, so there's a whole lot of,
Okay, so we
Okay.
denied it. We
Thank
got
you.
all
We
those
did.
items. I got most of them down. We can also add them and see the draft. Appreciate it. The next item
They can't.
is, Albert, do you have
oh, yeah.
what's going on in the town?
Yes, we'd love to hear.
You can't regulate it. People are so,
Howard, wetland revision. There's a opinion there, but all kind
yeah.
of consensus. The other thing is we're working on proportionality for lot size. That's something that's ongoing. Hopefully we can come to an agreement. The two things on the applications I want to talk about is Mr. Cohen talked eloquently about the merger, and there is no provision in the town code to merge lots. So I have to bring that to our town attorney to decide how to handle that. There is none.
But they did that years ago. They just merged lots that were together in the same name.
They repealed that statute.
They did.
Repealed it, but
That was
that-
it.
2018.
it just,
Is that
by
something?
somebody owning the two, it doesn't make it merge.
Right.
That's all. The county denotes it as 20, this is 20 Federal Drive, but it's not merged. So there has to be some kind of a provision.
Right, so these people own the lots separately,
Yes.
but one's not buildable because it's too small, right?
Right.
That's what it is. Okay.
Just a question of semantics that are legally combined. The other issue that I'd like to bring up is Reach, the IA septic system.
Oh, yeah.
It's 58 feet from the wetlands demarcation. The IA system's a great thing. I'm not going to argue that. But the ZBA grants variances, but they don't do wetlands variances. And the planning board doesn't do variances. So that's another thing that has to be cleared up.
Well, the health department,
Determine how to handle
the
that.
health department does it.
For the location, but.
Yeah, they did the variance.
Okay, I mean,
That's how it works.
that has to be cleared up.
Right, but that would be on the health department approval of that.
Yeah, it's a board of review process that does all that.
Oh, I understand.
It's not a town thing.
That's happened
Is it?
as, I think, on different areas. I have 3-page report on 2 Bay Avenue. The variances the health department has done because of the closeness of the well and the company property. They don't stand by their 150-foot distance. If
Right, no.
property, they'll come to 75 feet. And if you pollute your water after the construction, that's your problem.
Well, they can't deny a buildable lot.
Exactly.
They have to do a best fit scenario.
Exactly. And
Unless you can buy it at market value, so nobody can do that, so that's the end of the argument.
I know that's
So they do the best they can with what they have,
yeah.
Like I say, Tuttle Drive, there isn't 100 feet from the water, from the salt water to the street, you got a 40-foot set, none of those houses, probably half of those are totally,
Yeah.
illegal as far as any of that.
As well, the legality is that the health department gives a variance.
Well, right,
That's
you'd
what
have
it
to,
is.
otherwise, you know,
Or else you've got to take the property off the tax rolls.
well, you can't do that unless you buy it.
Right.
We're not, we're
The county would have to buy
not
it.
communist.
Now, this might be happening a lot on.
Working on it, though.
Not just Shelter Island. In the near future, as the tides keep coming up, we're going to get the problem. I always say that, you know, to have oceanfront property used to be an asset, and now it's a liability. It's a big liability. You can't get insurance, you can't do a lot of things. So it's a tough thing to do, and it's a tough thing to live with. I mean, you know, we have a lot of properties on Shelter Island alone, not talking about South Hold and Sag Harbor, which these properties are going to be inundated with water, you know, just a matter of years, 20 years, 15, 20 years. People have to realize that. And I mean, living on the water is beautiful, but you get that storm. I was on the water up island in Baldwin when we hit the Gloria. And I was lucky, I was on the end of the inlet. So the water all went in and flooded everybody upland. And it just came back out nice and slow, and I was safe, but that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Ram Island, you can't get there if we have a bad storm. The causeway is flooded.
Can't get off either.
But, and I mean, our volunteer people will say, yeah, we'll get there, yeah. But how long and what are you gonna do, you know?
I said they just started to talk about it today, they're gonna do a mitigation study on the causeway, both causeways. Grandma, survey it and know how far it's road raising, but not really road raising, but vehicle. The depth.
Oh, that's right, that high water vehicle. But
And a notification on the town website that notify people. Of a pending storm.
what's gonna happen is you're gonna have to have a bridge there, because that's gonna break through.
Oh,
Get them a ferry.
Or a ferry,
No.
another ferry.
Want that.
There we go.
that's.
That's it.
That would be really exclusive then.
Yeah, right.
But they've raised that causeway a lot over the years. I remember Leo Urban, he raised it 3 feet. And the only place it really floods now is the entrance to the first causeway. You can pretty much get down a second and the first.
Yeah.
But don't own a Tesla.
It's soaking water and then
Yeah, it's all over if you
starts
do that.
fire and, you know. But it's a big problem with the town. I don't know how to, you know, engineering, how you solve it, you know, it's one of those things that's the environment, and the environment is based on population. We're too many people. Part of the comprehensive plan should be the sustainability of Shelter Island. That's a big problem we're gonna have, you know. And I'll bring it up once we get a final draft of the comprehensive plan, but we'll see what it is. All right, so we got that.
Yes,
Old business. Albert, if you got a chance, come back. I wanna talk to you about old. Yeah, go ahead, talk to Bob. That's on the nature preserve that we sent to them. I want to talk to Albert about it, what they're doing about it. You know.
yeah.
Code discussions. We're working on the wetland. There's a committee that I'm working on that, and unfortunately it meets on D-Day, June 6th. So it's been postponed from an earlier date, and it's going to be back again, so.
I really enjoyed it.
Oh, we appreciate you coming.
Yes, thank you for
We're
coming.
here every month if you'd like to join us. Yeah.
Yes,
Can I
absolutely.
come to another?
You can
You
come.
certainly
anytime.
can, absolutely.
I left my email address.
Oh, okay.
Or you can Zoom it. We're on Zoom too.
Well, you could use Zoom or you can come.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's posted on the town website when our meetings are.
Okay, good.
They're usually 7:30, but then they change, I don't remember what month, to 7. So yes, in the winter time.
This is very good conversation. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Okay, sounds great. Bye.
So we're gonna have code discussions on the wetlands, and once I get it, I mean, I gave all of your comments to them the last time, and unfortunately, I was on vacation the last meeting, so this Thursday, they're having a meeting. I just got a printout of what they're doing. What we're trying to eliminate is the causeway section and try to get 100 foot, which is, we're battling. Because some people say we have no scientific proof. What is the scientific proof of 75 feet?
That's just what the DEC has.
Right, it's like the health department with the quality of your water. What can people give?
Well, they want you to be 100 feet back, the health department, but the DEC says
Yeah,
75.
yeah.
So.
But
But they won't, the health department won't let you, unless it's,
septic, right?
yeah, unless there's no other way around it,
But
they'll let you.
yeah, like
But that's
like
it.
Rishi's. There's no
Right,
way around it.
right.
They have to do
Yeah.
it. They have to do the best they can, and they are. They're putting in a pressurized system,
Yeah, yeah.
which is expensive.
You can't have another whole set of bureaucracy to end up with the same thing at the end. You know what I'm saying?
You can't do any construction or anything like that in that area, you know,
Right.
so.
But I'm saying as far as just to get the permit, the health department does all that.
Right.
You don't need to have another whole level of people doing the same thing.
No.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Counterproductive.
Yeah, it's just,
You don't need that, so.
yeah.
But that's what we're going to discuss and try to get the wetlands cleared up. The town just had the one section done, which took back the approval to the town board from the planning board. That was just done, but they didn't correct a lot of items there, like how many sets of drawings we get or what the drawings are. You know, we want full-size site plans. We don't need the building. We don't deal with the building at all.
Yeah.
So we don't need that, but that's another item. And the last thing is lighting, which is, I mean,
But I think with this whole wetlands thing, though, there should be a set of criteria if you're gonna build on the water that's different from just a regular construction anywhere else. I mean, it should be different. Like there shouldn't be all this where you're, sneaking in this, that, and, every square inch is figured out.
yeah.
It should be some sort of a,
Also, it should be non-leaching concrete.
right, but I mean, even that, I mean, you got everything here. It's like,
Yeah, we have properties that, what do you do with them? If they're owned by the same owner that's been here for 40 years, I mean,
right, but it should be more of a privilege to be there than to just a exploitation.
yes, it
You
should
know,
be.
So it's gotta be looked at that way, I think.
Yeah. Okay, Albert, now I just have one thing for you. Yeah. But there's a lot of things we have to do with the code, and I think we did a good job on this one. I mean, I don't think,
Yeah, well, it's just not even, like I say, they just lob something in there and see.
I'm surprised we got this, by the way.
That's what I was, it's a little unrealistic.
The
that they would-
denial said all of this, the merge is not set and all of that. Why did they print and go through this course?
I think,
Plus you whittle people down, that's how.
I agree with you. That's absolutely what this is.
You come again.
You keep doing it.
And until someone says, enough.
Right.
Right, exactly.
Right. And yeah, as people start to feel sorry for them. Exactly. That's right.
The only thing I have a question for you is we sent the nature preserve update for 2024 to the town board, which basically the work to be done for that is done by the highway department.
Jeff, so you submitted that to the board?
That was submitted, right, Jessica? We sent that to the town board. So I was wondering what the status is of it.
When was that, sir?
If I can get the exact.
If you just resend that to me, my address, I don't.
Thing is, we had on Shell Beach is, it's almost gonna break through there. I mean, we just have the road and that's it on Shell Beach, nothing there. And in Sachem's Woods, we brought up the problem that from Marcello's property, there's a drain line coming right off. I don't know how that got in there. And then there's another big opening in the property behind the restaurant that looks like it was drainage for Bowditch Road. And it's an open thing
So
there.
all the way to Bowditch end of Midway?
Yeah,
Yeah, the town cut that in years ago.
yeah, that,
Yeah, well, they just took a payload and just cut a trench through the woods until it got low enough for the water to run
so
into.
there is a pipe there now.
Oh, there is a pipe?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I saw it, and it's heading out towards Bowditch. That's why I said Bowditch.
Oh, yeah? I haven't seen that one, but,
That's behind the restaurant. And then at Wade's Beach, we brought up that we had to replace some of the grasslands and don't allow people to walk from the parking lot through the wetland grass because they got paths there that are destroying what we put
we
the,
could just, the town highway, they could just put some,
a fence, a snow
yeah,
fence.
Yeah, snow fence.
Yeah.
It looks good,
Right.
and just a low one.
Right.
People aren't gonna jump over it, just like a 2 foot.
No, they won't jump over.
That's.
We hope, but no, they wouldn't.
Couple ticks and they'll.
That's one of the items that, and so I was just wondering, that's why I brought it up to Albert, what's been done on it, because we do this every year. We submit the surveys that we do. We do the 6 properties. And the only one that we haven't done, Albert, and I don't know what we're gonna do on that with the economy that we have, is the Garcia property up on Ram Island. It's not even marked in or any, it's not surveyed. I don't think we should do anything with it, because we got a lot of land up there, and we don't need it.
Yeah, just.
It's just something that we don't want people to put brush on there or leaves, dump leaves in there, so that's the only reason, so.
I think they did fence that all off a couple years ago from people were dumping in there.
It
You know,
was, but
there's a
not
rope
there.
there with a posted sign.
Yeah, nothing now.
Oh,
It
so,
might be Peconic Land Trust, which it abuts to on the other road, could be,
I don't know.
but
That's
not
what I
that.
saw there.
But anyway, it's a hard piece of land to find, first of all, you have to really know what it is, so. That's what we have. Any new business that anybody wants to bring up? Well, we got enough on our plate.
The quail, I haven't seen any.
Oh, they're everywhere.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Not up where I am.
Yeah.
Good.
By Weeds Beach, there's tons. Down in Ram Island, that whole area and
Oh, good.
those thickets under the hollies and everywhere, Garcia property, tons of them
Oh,
down there.
oh, good.
Yep.
Yeah, my
So
ospreys
they're
hatched out.
everywhere.
They hatched out, so we got something I gotta,
They are, yeah.
yeah, so
I can
that,
walk around the Montclair colony now without getting yelled at by the
yeah. They always tell when they hatch.
osprey come in.
They're sitting down, they're standing up and looking down.
They're amazing, they're great.
It's good.
All right, so the next meeting is scheduled for July 2nd. Let's hope everybody can get there. If you can't, just let us know ahead of time, so we don't have to have the town board and Jessica here and stuff like that. And we always put on a thing, just RSVP.
Right.
Nobody RSVPs. I call everybody to make sure that's on it. If we could, I'd appreciate it, and so would Jessica. All
I
right.
always looked at it the other way. I would let you know if I can't.
Yeah.
Right.
We have a calendar and
Well,
Yeah.
that's good. I mean, if I knew everybody was doing that, I'd have a,
so you can take that for
now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
let you know.
And I always text, I call Dan and he texts me back here, if he can. I mean, I understand things are gonna happen. It can happen the day before that you can't make it. Appreciate it.
Phone calls for me are nearly impossible.
Yeah,
You know, with the
okay. Yeah, I know. I'll
chainsaw
bring
ship
it-
we're
I'll-
going, it's not happening.
Yeah.
That's all right. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Albert, for coming, and
Thank you all.
Jessica, thank you.
Yes, thanks.
I'll drop these little sketches off and we'll work on the minutes.